Did John Cohen really nail this hire? Like, honestly, sincerely. And also, Alex Golesh, credit to you turning Arkansas into the Auburn job. But regardless, it is now official on the plains. Alex Golesh is leaving Tampa and he is headed on over to Auburn. Let's go react. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Like the video, hit the ring notification, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk college football daily. We're going to be talking Auburn football going into the offseason. And where do the Tigers go from here now that they know who is their next head coach? Follow us on social media, link in the description. Check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. And as always, we are proudly brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Signing up at FANDUEL.com/SECU. Get $300 in bonus bets. Could be on the win total for next season, where we talk about what happens with Auburn moving forward simply by signing on up. Get $300 in bonus bets. FANDUEL.com/SECU. Give me one quick second. Take a sip of water. All right. This is a really interesting hire. For starters, credit to Alex Golesh waiting it out and going and surveying all of his options before signing on the dotted line. There was a report that he was the favorite to land the Arkansas job. If DJ Durkin were to win on Saturday night, it probably would have been DJ Durkin to get this job. Ultimately, John Cohen behind the scenes was going and perusing around and saying, who are some names I can actually go ahead and target? He goes and makes a move for Alex Golesh, who's coming off of a successful season out in South Florida. And if not successful in terms of what you want for records, you can say it's successful in terms of what you want in style of offense. They were top 10 in passing, top 20 in rushing, top 5 in scoring offense, top 10 in total yards. They were great on third down execution. They were in the top 10s in explosive plays. Everything that you want to see for this offense that needs a new life to it is very much on display for Alex Golesh. And now he is going to come on into the Plains, and he is going to take the current pieces that we saw last night in the Iron Bowl, make some moves, and have a couple of highlight moments, have continuity. I think that's something that you really want. There's a couple of things I really do like about this hire. Number one, Alex Golesh has been able to prove he can work outside of a system with a former head coach. So when he was with Josh Heupel out in Tennessee, there were a lot of people who said, is it Heupel's system or is it Golesh's system? Ultimately, I think Alex Golesh took some priorities and took some overall building blocks and foundational pieces that work for a Josh Heupel offense and recreate it in his own offense. So that alone, I think, is really interesting. And he constantly was able to learn from his mistakes. First season down in South Florida, pretty decent campaign. Second season down in South Florida, really, really promising momentum that came in this year. Then you talk about what we saw last season, this past season. Alex Golesh really was able to kind of get the ball rolling. They had a top 25 win over Boise State to begin the year. On top of that, they also had some really good moments, finishing the season 9-3. So continuous growth, I think, is really important when going and bringing in a hire like Alex Golesh and the proven concept that it can work elsewhere. So a couple of things that really, I think, are benefiting him. The other thing is that he knows offensive talent. And when looking at Auburn right now, the defense has been its backbone. And I think the defense will always be the backbone at Auburn, at least as long as you have DJ Durkin on staff. More on that in a second. You need to find a continuous backing for the offensive personnel. And whatever that may entail, going out and adding in a new quarterback, going out and fixing the offensive line, bringing in a new style of offense when it comes to your rushing attack, all things that could be addressed this offseason, Golesh has a good knack of finding names from other programs and turning them around to where we can start believing they are hitting their stride at the right time. And I think that's what he is going to bring to Auburn. There are going to be some really difficult conversations he has to have the second that he touches down on the plains with players who he does not believe will fit in his system. And then there will be some really interesting conversations that he has with boosters to say, these are the names that I need to guarantee will not be leaving the program anytime soon. They are locked in. They want to be a part of the War Eagle future. I need them to have success. And then there's that middle ground of what are we willing to spend in NIL? What are we willing to give up to lose a player to the transfer portal if we can bring in a certain name else? Okay, here are some priorities that you have to worry about. I look right now at DJ Durkin, and last night in a loss, you still came away, I think, somewhat impressed with him as a overall leader in the locker room. Alex Golesh has got to offer him the defense coordinator job. I think just priority number one. Todd Orlando is not an option that you can just bring on in from Tampa with you. You got to keep DJ Durkin. And for two reasons. Number one, it's very clear the players love him. They play hard for him. They want to be able to go ahead and say that they represent Coach Dirk. The other thing is that There's a lot of names that Auburn has targeted in its next recruiting class, which is going to finish in the top 12. The last 2 recruiting classes, which finished in the top 10, that signed on because of DJ Durkin's defense. Why go ahead and ruin what you have? That's a good thing. And probably the reason why your team was even competitive and finishing in the 5-7 disastrous season by hitting reset because of you and him just don't see eye to eye and he wanted the head coaching job. Now, again, if Durkin leaves for another opportunity, that's his choice, but you have to give him the opportunity to at least stay on staff and be your defense coordinator. The second thing is you have got to convince, I think, 4 players on the offensive side that they are meant to stay in Auburn, Alabama. The first one has got to be Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman is going to get premier money on the open market by teams that currently need a wide receiver 1. You cannot afford to lose a Cam Coleman. He is just built different. He's an easy way to be able to guarantee that your offense has that juice next season. And I think that the other thing that's really important here is that this is a playmaker that you know can easily put belt to ass. That is exactly what it is. Number 2, Malcolm Simmons. Malcolm Simmons is a perfect fit for an Alex Golesh offense where it is about sending vertical shots down the field, explosive plays. We saw last night him finish with over 140 receiving yards on 3 catches. That means he was averaging over 40 yards a play. In this brand of offense, he is going to be a machine. You do not want to watch him go walk on over to South Carolina or head on down to Florida or go to LSU and Lane Kiffin. He needs to be a part of this. Number 3 is Deuce Knight. I think Deuce Knight is still going to need a little bit of seasoning before we get him fully wrapped on in, but I do like what he has with the intangibles. And I think that, again, with Alex Golesh, a guy who has worked with quarterbacks, a guy that understands the quarterback position and knows how important the mobility of a quarterback is, you probably need to go ahead and bring him back. And the fourth name, I think it's Ashton Daniels. Daniels made some really interesting plays down the stretch. It felt like that if Auburn would have made the switch from Jackson Arnold to him earlier in the year, maybe they would have gone 7-5. 7-5 probably keeps Hugh Freeze's job, which ends up not being a good thing. But a veteran quarterback that can go ahead and provide competition with Deuce Knight, that has that mobility factor, and a lot of things that would be able to have that good start. So I think those are 4 names that are non-negotiables that you have to bring back on the offensive side of the football. You also got to make sure that you retain as much as your current recruiting class as possible. There are going to be names that say Alex Golesh is not a good fit from the G5 level. So we're just going to go ahead and reopen our commitment before early signing day next week. I think that you have to be able to do whatever you can offensively to keep as many of these players around. And the final thing that you have to do, you have to set a timeline and you have to set realistic expectations. The problem with Auburn that I've always said is that Auburn likes to put the wagon before the horse. And it's why it's one of the toughest jobs in college football. And why I will always say it is probably going to be a place to where you are never truly satisfied until you beat Alabama, Georgia, and win a national title all in the same year. And unfortunately for you, 2 of those games are never going away, which means the expectation of winning a national title is probably still slim to. You got to be able to establish a foundation in year 1. This to me means you have got to set realistic goals going into 2026. We're going to be competing for an 8-4 season. We're going to be competing for getting a few upset wins. We would like to be ranked at the season's end. That's what we have. That's priority number 1. Going into year 2, we've added in our foundation, our core, our names that we believe are part of our roster. We've hit the transfer portal really hard. We've done a good job of recruiting. Now we're going to be more competitive. Now we want to be fighting for that college football playoff bid. Because if you go on into the building and you say, listen, we're here to win the college football playoff day 1, I feel like that you've already lost because it's going to be a lot of new. It's going to be a lot of transitions, a lot of things that probably are going to have to be fixed that won't be before the start of next season. You just got to take this game by game. The final thing that I want to talk about is the hire itself. I think this is a very smart hire. I do, because if you need to get an offensive-minded guy in there that could work opposite of DJ Durkin. I will also say, as much as I know that there were Auburn fans that were clamoring for DJ Durkin to be the hire, I think it's a good thing that he's not the hire. I personally, if I was a booster at Auburn, paying millions of dollars per year for my football program, would have a hard time sitting back and saying to myself, am I really going to be paying for a guy that went 0-2 in SEC play as my next head coach? That would be the way that I feel. But I do think that having him around is a good thing. So you're going with the offensive-minded guy. You're going with an up-and-coming coach, and you took him away from another SEC school. You got to give him time. You got to allow him to fix his foundation. And I think that for the most part, Auburn was very, very patient with Hugh Freeze. Like, I commend Auburn for the way that they were able to respond to the whole Hugh Freeze era and how things were going. But the also part is you saw that there was no growth. Like the thing that you got to remind yourself of when it comes to this hire, are we going to see continued growth? Are we going to see more maturity? Are we going to see this end up being a really, really good move in the right direction to where the offense is putting away the offense is putting up massive points. The defense hasn't taken a step back. They're really just kind of growing. That was never the case underneath Hugh Freeze. It was the same offense that he ran when he was at Liberty, which was the same offense that he ran at Ole Miss. He never was able to go ahead and develop quarterbacks the way that he said. He didn't want to spend money in the transfer portal to bring in certain names. So all of that aside, it feels like that, again, you got to give this guy an opportunity to set his foundation in place and prove that he is showing maturity in certain areas to where this time next season, we're viewing Auburn as a sleeper to go to the college football playoff. This time next season, we're talking about Auburn being in a prominent bowl game. We're talking about Auburn making the strides and putting themselves in the conversation to be able to take that next jump forward. A lot of positive traction for this job. So it's not a slam dunk hire. I don't believe that there's things such as a home run hire or a slam dunk hire. I think there's a lot of things that you're going to have to see be developed over time, and you got to be patient with this move. But I do like this fit. I do think that getting an explosive, innovative, offensive-minded coach with the weapons and the personnel that currently resides in the Plains, also with the ability to retain talent and hopefully retain DJ Durkin on the defensive side, gives you an opportune moment to truly fix the culture of Auburn and put yourself in a prominent position where you constantly are going to be competing for 9-win seasons, 10-win seasons. You could be right alongside Ole Miss. You could be right alongside Florida, right alongside. You can surpass Vanderbilt. You certainly could surpass South Carolina. All little things like this that I think would be a major step in the right direction to where Auburn football is nearly back to its highest level. And again, as an Alabama grad and as somebody who has been a part of these rivalries for years, I think it's great when our Auburn is good in college football. I think there is something to be said about this type of team always showing on up and making it a challenge to go ahead and win. You want to be that pesky team that's able to go ahead and fight back and punch up against your level, against Georgia, against Alabama, against LSU, all teams that very much are going to be in that conversation. So Alex Golesh is the hire for the Auburn Tigers. Will it work out? That's going to be pretty interesting, but I'll say what, I like the move. What are your comments? Leave it in the chat down below before we get on out of here. Let me tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/SECU is the perfect place to sign up to get $300 in bonus bets this holiday season when you lay down your first $5 bet. Could be on anything. Could easily be on the win total next season for Auburn. Could be on the Heisman Trophy odds. Who do you think is going to take home college football's most coveted award? It could also be on other things, whether it be the NHL, the NBA, college basketball season in full swing. Stephen Pearl, what are we going to see from him and the Auburn Tigers on the hardwood? Go ahead, place your bets. FanDuel.com/SECU. You can use the app. You can use the website. Player props, same-day parlays, whatever tickles your fancy. FanDuel.com, the official betting partner of the NBA, and our friends right here at SEC Unfiltered. We'll be back quite literally in 5 minutes because another hire has been made in the SEC. A lot of moves being made by the American Conference to go to the SEC. This one may be the one that people are most intrigued in because, let's just be real, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic and also frustrated with Scott Strickland down in Gainesville. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Peace.